All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. Now, I know I told some of you guys that I was going to have this video up by 4 p.m., and I do apologize. I completely forgot that I had a doctor's appointment. And then as soon as I got home, I made a video, and then I forgot my neighbors have a birthday party for one of my neighbors. And then I forgot that my godson had a wrestling tournament, and I was trying to help him out. So there's been a lot going on. So I do apologize for the tardiness of this video. If you've been waiting, I do apologize. I really do. Because again, I don't want to tell you guys something and then not do it. Because again, I feel I'm a man of my word, and I tell you certain things. Um, I try to aim for that because again, to me, when you say something, basically promise it, and your promise is your word. So I try to keep my word all the time. So again, I do apologize for that. Okay. Um, let's go ahead and get started with this lesson. Now, this is one of actually my favorites when it comes to world history. There are several, but this is like one of those I just love teaching it because it deals with a guy who literally changed the world. And that's one of the things we're going to look at. We're going to examine how Genghis Khan changed the world literally and figuratively. We're going to analyze how Genghis Khan came to power, and we're going to create an argument on which way of the possible way he died seems more logical. Okay, so here is your warm up picture. Now, the question I'm asking is this: based off your analysis, where do you think they're going? What do you think's going on here? You know, does it look like to you that they're moving from one place to another, kind of like it's getting to become wintertime? They're trying to get to warmer area, like they're migrating. Uh, like some students said, they look like they're going to war. Some said that they probably returning from war. What do you think? And what gives you that information? What evidence do you see that shows you that your conclusion is right or may be possibly right? Okay. So think about it, write your response, okay? Because we're moving on in three, two, one. So the Mongolians, okay? The Mongolians were a group of people, but the thing is, they were separated in different clans. There were 17 large ones and 18 smaller ones. And they typically got along a little, but there was still some feuding going on between them. Now, there was a leader of the one of the smaller clans named Yusagal. Okay, hopefully I pronounced that name right. But again, he was the leader of a small clan, and he had a son named Temujin. Now, Temujin in Mongolian means blacksmith. And the thing is, Yusagal had his a little issue with this group called the Tartars. Okay, and what they did is they actually poisoned Yusagal. So Temujin's father was poisoned. He died, and the people in the clan kind of dispersed. They were like, we're not going to follow this kid, you know. Um, and the Tartars eventually captured him. So Temujin's family is rejected by their own clan, rejected by other clans. Uh, he is captured. He's basically enslaved and he's beaten and things like that, forced to work. Um, but eventually he escapes. He's able to uh, escape his capture and get away. Now, what he does is pretty smart. He actually goes to one of the other smaller clans named the Jin. Okay, now the Jins were allied with his father, and he tells them, "Hey, look it, you guys don't like the Tartars. I don't like them either. But here's the thing: I was a slave for them. I know their how many fighters they got. I know what kind of weapons they use. I know their tactics and things like that. So let me help you in defeating them." Okay, so the Jin are in it for to get rid of the Tartars. He's in it for revenge, and that's exactly what happened. They attack the Tartars and they defeat them. Now, in 1200, he united all the clans. Now, I kind of student asked me in class, well, how difficult was that? And I'm like, we ever had family members hate each other? and you try to get everyone together for like a barbecue, cookout, someone's birthday or a holiday, whatever. They're like, yeah. I was like, how did that go? They're like, oh man, it was this family's over here, this family's over here. They're just talking crap about these guys. I'm like, yeah, exactly. They're not getting along, but they're all in one area. That's basically what these clans were like. And the thing is, though, he was able to unite all of them together, all of these clans, and get them to work together. And it's because of that they decided to make him the first great Khan of the Mongol Empire. Now, Khan means prince or ruler. So they changed his name from Temujin to Genghis Khan, which means universal ruler or prince. Okay. Now, some people were like, I don't know about this guy, this whole Genghis Khan guy. We'll follow him, but still. And he's telling them, no, no, no. Telling the civilians and soldiers, follow me, right? And I promise you, I'll make you guys wealthy from future wars, and when we conquer areas, you guys will become wealthy. Okay. Now he did go off and fight different clans and things like that, different tribes and different nations and things like that. But what happened was he did something unique. When they were fighting, sometimes some guys were able to fight off his own men. You know, some guys were fighting off the Mongolians like 8-1. They're fighting them off, and they're not dying. They keep fighting. They're really good fighters. So basically, he would come around and go, "Hey, look at you're a hell of a fighter, really really good. Why don't you join my army? Okay, so we can either kill you, or you could join our army. And I'd rather you join our army because you're really good, and you could become so wealthy. You could be one of my top guys. But the choice is yours." Some guys signed up, some guys didn't, and those who didn't, they were killed. Now, Genghis Khan is known for a lot of bad things, but they did do some good things. And let's look at that first. Okay. So, one of the good things he did was in his empire, there was no one religion. Okay. So, if you remember back in the previous lesson, we talked about the Inquisition, where these people were like, no, 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 you have to believe in the Christian Catholic faith. And they tortured Jewish, Muslim, even other Christians and Catholics. So they tortured their own kind, okay? All to save their souls because they worshiped the wrong religion. But Genghis Khan and his empire, there was no one religion. He tolerated them all. He said, I don't give a care if you're Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, Taoist, whatever. Worship however you want to worship, okay? We don't have a universal religion. So that's pretty cool. That's, pretty interesting of him to do that. He could have easily made them all follow his religion, but he said no. So that's pretty awesome. Next one. He's responsible for one of the first international postal office. Basically, you can get a letter from one side of his empire to the other in about 2 days, maybe three. You know, the way it worked was like this: they would have the post office here, right? And so let's say someone gave them a letter. They would then run to on a horse to this other far part in the country or the empire or whatever it may be. There, the writer would say, okay, this letter is going towards the north. This one's going to the south. This one's going towards the east. This one's going to the west. The writer could then say, you know what? I'm tired. I've been writing for a long time. Somebody else, go off, you know. Or he could be like, hey, you know what? No, no, I'm good. I just need a new horse. My horse is tired. It needs to rest. And they would give him a new horse. Now, under the Mongol Empire, horses were very, very important, extremely important. So, for someone to say, no, no, I'm going to take the same horse, even though it's tired, that was kind of seen like, no, 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 dude, you can't do that. You need to take care of this horse. So they would gladly trade it in and get a fresh new horse. The other thing that was really interesting about Genghis Khan's empire was that he established strong trade routes. It was some of the safest trade routes at that time. Because if, let's say, you're a jewel merchant going from China to, let's say, the Middle East, or going towards to Europe. If you cross through Genghis Khan's territory and some thieves stole your stuff, you could go to Genghis Khan and go, you know what? Hey, there's some bandits out in here in this mountain area. They robbed me at this place. And Genghis Khan would take his people out there and they would find these guys and kill them. And not just them, people who knew them and things like that. So he made sure his trade routes were nice, clear, and nobody was harmed. It's like the safest you could be. Okay. The other thing is, as he's riding around conquering territories, what he would basically do is go to these cities, these kingdoms or palaces, whatever you want to call them, and he basically said, "Hey guys, how you doing? Genghis Khan here. Look at, I just conquered all this territory. Right? I'm coming through here through your town. Um, you guys can either fight or surrender. Now, here's the thing: if you surrender, you get to keep all your things. Your life just continues as normal. I just might call on you for some things, but other than that, your life is going to remain the same. It's just this will be now mine, okay? But your life is going to continue, and you get the perks of being part of my empire. So, what do you guys decide? So he would give them a choice. Now, women, believe it or not, women, they had rights and benefits. Whereas in Europe, at the same time, women are just seen as you clean the house, you cook the food, and you make babies. They weren't respected, enough to have rights and own businesses and things like that. Whereas in Khan's empire, yeah, women had rights and there were some benefits that they had, such as like maybe possibly even owning a business, you know, owning property. And lastly, soldiers were given rank not by how many years you were in the army or you fought with him. It was how good of a fighter were you. And he wasn't one of those generals who like sat in the back and watched everyone fight. No, no, no. He was out there with his sword fighting too, you know. So he saw for himself, hey, this guy is a really good fighter. And again, they would rank up because of that, not because, oh, you survived 20 battles for the past 5 years, you get to be this ranking. No, out in the field, on the battlefield, you're usually in the back. You don't want to fight. So why would I give you the higher ranking? Okay. All right. Now let's talk about the bad things he did. Um, so like I said, when he would go to a city, a kingdom, or any place like that, he'd basically tell them you have a chance to surrender. Um, if they said no, they're gonna fight, he would kill them all. And when I mean all, I mean, yeah, men, women, children, all. The only way you would survive is if you surrendered. Um, Another thing too, if you did surrender, like I said, when you said, "Hey, I might be calling you for some help on certain things," um, thing is, if he asked for your help and you didn't come through, you're going to pay. And that's exactly what happened to one group in 1219. He asked for their help. He asked for some troops. He's like, I need some reinforcements. And the town was like, yeah, we'll send you some reinforcements. They never did. So after the battle, after Genghis Khan won, he came back to that town and was like, hey guys. Um, so remember when I asked you guys for some soldiers and need some reinforcement? You guys said, oh, yeah, we'll send some people over. I never got them. So what happened? Oh, well, we were going to send these soldiers, but they were busy doing something else. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. They were busy doing something else. Okay, yeah. Oh, that sucks. Because now I got to kill you all. And that's what he did. He killed them all. Basically wiped out the whole town. Um, Now, if you notice, there's a theme of him killing people, and that's the thing. He is responsible for 40 million people dead. Now, I've had some students in the past going, well, like Stalin killed like 200 million, 40 is nothing. Okay, yeah, but how many people were alive back then? Nowadays, we got like 8.5, almost 9 billion people. Back then, they had less than half a billion people. And he's responsible for killing 40 million of them. In China alone, he killed tens of millions. In the country of Iran, 3/4 of the population were killed. So if you have a house of like 4 people, imagine only one of you guys surviving. That's it. If you have 8 people, only two of you guys in your household. You know, let's take this. Just put in more context. The whole world population at that time, he killed 11% of the world. And it's because of that, he actually made the earth cooler by a couple degrees. Yeah, because remember, people give off carbon dioxide. The greenhouse gases and all that stuff, and because he killed so many people, there wasn't enough carbon dioxide to cause any type of warmth. So the earth cooled a couple degrees. That's crazy, but it's true. Now, here's a map of his empire. As you can see, um, it's a long stretch of area that he basically conquered. Okay. Now, when it comes to his death, the only thing historians can agree on is that he died in 1227. That's it. That's it. How he died, we don't know. Now, there's a lot of theories, a lot of guesses, but we again don't for sure know. But I put four of them that I thought were pretty interesting. Kind of makes sense a little bit. Some of it, more than others. So one of them was he he succumbed to his injuries from falling off his horse. Now, again, like I said, he was one of those generals who led the charge. So chances are he's in front. Let's say, riding the horses, he's in front. And if he fall off his horse and these guys are riding right behind him, yeah, he might be get trampled and things like that. So that's where this kind of makes sense. But this is also where it doesn't make sense. Remember, I told you the Mongolians were experts with horses. Okay. They really cared about horses. And as an expert horse rider, the chances of him falling off doesn't sound legit. Okay. That's again my thinking. The next one, that he contracted malaria. Now, this seems very logical because a lot of people back then got malaria. Okay. This next one is one of my favorites because it's interesting in the sense, uh, because the thing is, it says that he had a rare blood disease where he was just bleeding for no reason. Um, and some of the stuff I read said that, yeah, sometimes in battle, his nose might bleed just cause. So the thought is that he had this rare disease where his nose was blood, and he was drinking one night on his like big old pillow bed type of thing, and all of a sudden his nose starts bleeding. Now he can't move because he's really drunk, and basically drowns in his own blood. That was pretty interesting to me. So I was like, I'm gonna put that one on the list. This next one, it's possible, but again, it's kind of like, but it's better than other ones I read. Was that he took an arrow to the knee? Now, again, I had a student in class who understood about the whole thing with the arrow. They were like, yeah, you can't just rip it out because someone said that in class. Why don't they just rip it out? And that other student was like, no, because the thing is, you have to remember the arrow goes at a point, and if you're pulling the arrow out, it's gonna tear up that the rest of that muscle. And I was like, yeah, very good. So what they would have to do is cut more and then basically try to pull it out, right? And that would hurt like hell. And then they would have to cauterize it, which is basically you get a hot metal and put it to the wound so that the skin would close and it would just everything would close up so that you wouldn't bleed out. Um, And the other thing too is if the arrow was basically sticking out on the other side, you would have to basically break it and then pull the arrow all the way through. You know, so but arrow in the knee, that's kind of tough. And on top of that, this is where they talk about the infection, gangrene, and things like that, which is possible, which could happen. So, mm, just again, kind of like that sound makes sense, but I don't know. Now, a student asked me in class, why don't we know how he died? Because the thing is, we don't know where his body is. No one knows where he's buried. Basically, what happened is he had a funeral procession. These guys swore they were going to bury him somewhere where nobody would know and keep that secret to their grave. And that's what they did. As they took his body, if there were people who saw, hey, oh, there's a tomb body thing, they would kill them so that they couldn't tell anybody. Oh, I saw these guys going through this area, this and that. No, they made sure that anybody who saw they killed. Um, and then on top of that, once they buried the tomb, the sarcophagus thing, um, they used horses to ride around to kick up the dirt and everything. Because if you dig up dirt, you can tell, hey, that dirt's been disturbed. It's been lifted up. So they made sure a bunch of horses ran through that area so that it looked like normal ground, you know. And then they made sure the horses continued so that no one could say, "Oh, look at this little areas horses ran through." So this might be where they buried him. Okay. And again, they took their secret to the grave. We still don't know where he's at. Um, he could be in someone's backyard for all we know. Someone might be digging, burying their dog, and they might hit, some metal. So, because supposedly his tomb is made of silver. Now, is it? I don't know. That's a little legend thing I read in a book that said it was made of silver. But who knows? Somebody might be digging in their backyard one day out, on that side of the world, and they run into his tomb. Is that possibility? All right. So this you have two questions. Well, actually, you're gonna pick one of them. Just be sure you put question either one or question number two, right? And then answer it. The first one says, do you think it's wise to accept your enemies as soldiers? Why or why not? So, like again, like what Khan did, tell people, hey, you're a hell of a fighter. You should join my army. Is that a smart thing to do? Why or why not? The second one says, why do you think he didn't want anyone to know where he was buried after he died? Why did he think he wanted all that to be secret? Most emperors, most kings, and things like that, they want a big shiny tomb, some type of recognition of them, things like that. Why do you think Khan said no? I don't want that. Keep it hidden. Don't let no one know where I'm buried. Why? What do you think? Okay. So once you answered one of these two questions, you're good with this lesson. So hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Okay. And with that being said, guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Okay.